Hi, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Danny, and this is a Common Rule podcast. So, how have you been? I know it's been a minute. I've just been more or less kind of restructuring my life. Nothing too drastic. I've just started to the past couple of weeks started a new shift at the day job, and my sleeping habits had to be severely tweaked and get back into it because, man, I keep really stupid hours. Not that you need to know that, but I've been readjusting my sleeping patterns. I've been more or less thinking about how I am going to, what my next project is going to be. And I've been trying to plan out a podcast and meeting within the past week, meeting very interesting people. One of which was today. My friend Emily is a model, and if you follow my Red House side of things, she's my favorite model. I photographed her more than anyone in the world. I've known her for, I think it's 5 or 6 years now. Ever since I've more or less moved into Phoenix. And she has started a spiritual journey of sorts through astrology and other avenues as well. And she's met some very interesting people. Hopefully, we'll have a few more on the show. Chaney B. Jones is who I met today, and we had a great conversation. Now, I like to approach spirituality from a creative perspective. There's a lot of, let's just say, artwork that's made with anger. I think it's better to have a clear conscience and a clean spirit to be able to create with more transparency and more intent to be able to tell your story or whatever message you wish to convey to any audience that your art is meant for. While I love punk rock and the aggressiveness, if you guys are into that stuff, you will see that at one point, more or less, it gets very repetitive. And it's rare the bands that crossover is not the word, but more or less transcend and start maybe as a punk rock band and then end up writing songs that aren't as punk rock, or even in your basic rock and roll sense, it just migrates into something else. And those bands have longevity. Music is just part of it. There's other things in art as well. One of the things I really love about Picasso is that he was never just in one genre at any given time. He was a very multifaceted artist. As just one example, historically speaking, we don't need to get into how clean Picasso's spirit was, but he made some art that's still lasting as of today. Now, the conversation today, and I'm going to have to apologize. I am very, very sorry right now. I don't know what happened to the audio essentially halfway through the conversation, or a little less than half through. Everything was smooth sailing, and then all of a sudden the audio decided to distort, and I did the best I could to fix it in post, but my either it was too shitty to fix, or I just don't have the skills to be able to bring it down. And trust me, what I'm giving you right now is as best that I can do, and it is 1,000 times better than what was actually recorded. I apologize. I wouldn't normally put up the audio, but if you can tolerate the shittiness, there are some really great concepts there that I am so glad that we talked about. A lot of, let's just say, reframing of my mentality of certain points where it really did make me think, and it really did adjust my thought process and creative as well. If you can tolerate the noise, again, have patience. And we talk about how important it is to be excited to do something and be motivated, which I loved because it's something that I wanted to talk about or have have touched on before, but it didn't really hit home until Chaney properly framed it for me. The other thing that's very important too that I loved, if you can again tolerate the noise and the audio, is the concept of everything being valid. I think that is very important to have. I mean, it helps you stay sane, which is a really great point that Chaney was making here, is that everything is valid, and to say somebody and to shit on someone and tell them that their feelings aren't valid, no matter how far their experiences might be to someone else's. We really need to start looking at other people's experiences, and while they may be relative, everyone's feelings are valid and should be taken into account. That, along with a few more concepts about the spirituality, really made this podcast worthwhile and worth fucking sifting through the shitty audio. Again, I cannot apologize enough. Normally I wouldn't put this kind of stuff up the way that it is. It's, but it's good. It's definitely worth a listen, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get something out of it. Check the notes, please, and check everyone's links at that point so that you can follow along if you're interested as well. I suspect this will be the first of many conversations that I have with Emily and Chaney and any other guest that Emily runs through as far as the spiritual world. While we do need to reframe what it's like to look at astrology in the newspaper, it's a lot of the times more important to use it as a tool instead of a crutch, to be able to open yourself up to possibilities that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have even noticed, just to help everyone be a better human being, more or less. All right, thank you again so much for listening. And again, I'm sorry about the audio coming up, but again, it's a great cheeseburger worth getting a bite into. All right, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day and enjoy your youth. I would love to just at one point almost get a little foundation and see what you talk about during your lectures and what keeps coming up as the most asked question during some of these intros to spirituality.
There's a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think spirit is always and forever already available for you. So it's nothing that you have to attain or work towards. It's something that as regular as soccer or tennis or bowling, baseball, I'm associating that with all sports things, with kind of enjoyments, because it's not survival, right? Spiritual is not survival. And that's what a lot of people do, is limit their identity with survival.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's like, how do I get through the day without having to worry about what amounts to, in their brain, needless actions or maybe even hobbies or something like that. So it's definitely that even with someone who's an expert, quote unquote, like continuing the sports metaphor, practice every day. Sure. You have to be able to, even if you attain some sort of goal, it's maintenance to keep it there.
Yes. The thing is with spirituality, in my experience, is that really it starts off as attaining something, attaining knowledge, and retaining that knowledge through memory. And memory is really like the intellect. And that's where the Western society and all true Western culture is based around, is your knowledge. And when we think about it, when machine first started showing up on the stage of humanity, like more people got weaker. Like there was less work, physical labor. Everything was automated, everything was mechanized. So everybody started naturally to go towards thinking and to studying and to things that don't involve survival and like trying to get food on the table, right?
Yes.
So, and now we're getting to the point where machines are on the horizon, where they can shadow any human being's memory. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to people when they cannot even compare to a small size piece of metal that holds more memory than
10 people?
Exactly. And
100 people.
this is a huge revolution here. So we're getting it. We're going into it now.
And as far as the knee-jerk reaction is, all right, I'm stressed out because of that overwhelming event coming on the horizon.
Oh, okay.
Like the whole Terminator thing, machines are going to take over to us. I think at this point now, being a thinker and actually having more of a awareness of consciousness is more important. How do you,
right.
I mean, as far as like, okay, the machines do their thing, but as a human being, how do I?
Right. That's what we're learning.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning to be. And it's trouble. It's hard for many. It's hard for me to just be. I think the Eastern culture, we can learn a lot from them, and that's why we're bridging the gap now between East and West more than anything, because it has to happen. They need the technology and the stuff that we have developed, and we need their ancient wisdom and knowledge so that we can exchange. And
now, you wrote a book.
Yes.
Emily told me you wrote a book.
I did.
And I have not had the chance to read it yet. I just found out about it a couple of days ago too. But when writing a book is a monumental achievement.
Thanks.
First and foremost, there it is. And what I wanted to ask, what did you see as an outsider that felt the need to address, I think, from the viewpoint, it feels like you wrote a book because it was a necessity. People were probably in some ways lost and needed more information on it. What do you think is the biggest problem or the biggest hurdle that people need to accomplish to find peace or inner peace or be more connected to the rest of us or the rest of
the paradox is that there is nothing to attain, there's nothing to accomplish, and that's what's so hard for people. Is because they're so used to gathering and acquiring and amassing knowledge, and you have to do something for that. You have to read a book, you have to listen to a guru or a speaker, and that's where the mix-up is. Because there's nothing to do to become peaceful. Peace is already here, and it's already now. It's already always available for you.
What do you think is the biggest hang-up that keeps humans from seeing that?
It's that they're looking. They're always looking to get the achievement and the goal.
Emily, you can talk right into the microphone and say stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say,
Emily's giving us hand signals.
I know, Chaney is so smart.
No.
It's almost like stop and smell the roses sort of philosophy, where the first thing someone comes to you and go, "Hey, Chaney, help me," and then you probably have already like a first like generic, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" or stop doing cocaine or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's I don't take that approach. Because if there's a desire for something, then you can't be desireless. But the whole point people want to be is desireless, or they want to be self-sufficient. They want to be like, perfect. Like they want to be a machine, kind of like they want to be successful, have money, all this stuff. And their survival is on automatic. They want to make sure that is like taken care of first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just completely absurd. And the first thing that I would address is really someone's anger, right? Because that's a tremendous energy right there that is not being directed, and is really the most potent energy right there is anger.
Well, I think that one of the problems is like people are feeling like scared all the time, because when they're feeling like, fear and anxiety, they just feel like they're stuck, and they feel like I don't even know if some of these people even really know that they, like, even if they're even lost, because it's like they're still stuck in that like anxiety cycle where it's like they just feel so stuck. They don't even know that they're lost to start. Like they know it's not right, but they're just like searching like for something that like doesn't even really exist. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you?
Can we start over?
No, that's perfect.
Now, from your, let's say you're within the last 5 years or so, do you feel that more people are more angry, less angry, or maybe indifferent than maybe they have in the past?
I think there's more people.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more people now. And that's a great thing.
As long as I don't want to say as long as they're good people.
Right.
But as long as everyone's got the wanting to learn and more or less, do you see it as a cleansing sometimes spiritually, or do you some sort of when you want to not desire anything,
Mm-hmm.
do you see it as a sort of an exchange of self somehow, to where not only are they have to change their needs and their wants, but almost entirely change their person? Have you witnessed some sort of a tremendous transformation of somebody that's like been like one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
through the avenue of going through astrology or overall just reading self-help books or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it from a good side to the bad side, but have you seen it from the bad side to the good side?
Of course, I am always swinging. That's the way of the mind, is extremes, and that's what we are working with here. We're going to work every day, and we're either like really enjoying it, which very few people are doing, or really hating it. And what of course, if you're working, you have to rest at some point. And what do you rest in if you're in love? You rest in hate. Whatever you rest in, if you're in hate, you're in love. So it's just the mind works in very dualistic ways, duality, and compare and contrasting. And I see, to answer your question, which was what's your question?
Well, if it was kind of twofold, like the transformation, in order to achieve something that, as we found out, is already there, it's, from my viewpoint, it seems like, have you seen a person completely have to change themselves, like drastically, or do you think that it's just minute changes in a human being that
I think for me, sorry.
Yeah, and I was going to get exactly, I was going to say, because Emily.
Yeah, because I feel like I've had to do like a 180 of my life, because, I mean, a lot of this started because, it was several years ago when my hair started falling out, but then when I started getting all these other health issues, all of this stuff like tied in together, where I started realizing like I was completely on the wrong path, and that like we are like in control of like our own lives completely. And I personally made things so much worse and so much more difficult than they had to be. But it's like I had to, you know, break up with this guy that I was dating for 2.5 years. I mean, I'm 28 years old and I'm living in my first apartment by myself for the first time ever. I've always had like roommates or like been in a relationship and like lived with a guy.
Nice.
What?
It's a very nice apartment.
I know. I love my apartment. Yeah, it is a cute apartment. It's for my first apartment to have like without a roommate or anything. I'm like, this is definitely like a good one. But you know, it's like, and then it was, you know, being a dancer, just realizing that environment was not the best for me because I didn't really realize like how energy worked. I mean, I had always heard people say like, oh, you give a lot of your energy away and like, you know, you're always making people happy and stuff. But like, I didn't realize that like me constantly like being in a situation where it's like I'm around people that are really not enjoying their lives, and then, you know, they're seeking this external like validation, which I don't see anything like wrong with strip clubs. And obviously I've made like decent money there, and I've been able to have like the freedom that I have from being a dancer, and I love being on stage, and you know, I like working with my girlfriends and all of this. But I just feel like there's a reason why it's like it has such a short shelf life, because it's like it's not the most like positive, uplifting situation, because not only is it like a situation where you're doing something that society sees as like being degrading, it's also you're around all the drugs and alcohol, and you're literally working in the dark, which I mean, for me, like my eyesight has gotten worse, but also it's like being in the dark is not healthy. Like you want to be outside, and then the music is loud. They say listening to loud music for, I mean, you guys know I talk loud because like I'm hard of hearing, but you know, it's like all of these little things too are adding up. So it's not even just like the work, it's like the literal physical space of being there, I was realizing was toxic. So I feel like I keep telling everyone, I'm like, I just like threw my old life away and just like got a new one. But it started slow for me at first, because before I found astrology, like I was doing an intensive like therapy program, which took me almost like, I think 5.5 months to complete. And that's how I kind of got started on everything, because like I was saying before, now I'm much more confident than I used to be, but I had like super bad anxiety, and I would have to take medication, and it was bad. Like I was taking a lot of medication every single day for my anxiety. And I don't know if you guys knew, well, Chaney, I just met you, but I don't know if you even knew that, Danny. Like I've been on anxiety medicine for like, I think like 10 years.
Mm.
So, and I don't see anything wrong with being on medicine either, but yeah, it's like I've just had to change everything, like literally everything.
Do you find that since finding astrology and spiritual healing, has that made your nightlife easier? The dancing, at least maybe even just the emotional part of it as opposed to the physical part of it, has it made it easier, or are you just dealing it with a lot better?
Well, it's like yes and no, because there's like certain things you can do to kind of make it so you have like a better experience. So if like for one specific, because I don't have like a set religion, like I just consider myself to be spiritual, and I grew up in a family that, you know, like I was baptized, but my family's not very religious, and we were never really like made to go to church or anything like that. So it's not like I have ever read the Bible or even know off the top of my head every single archangel, like whatever. But like Mary Magdalene, she was like she was a healer, and that's someone that you can pray to before you go to work, and you can ask for her to send people that like are needing healing. So then you actually end up usually like being in contact with guys that maybe like they're just a little lost and they are still willing to give you money. There is like some things that you do, like where it's like if you cover yourself in like white light or like gold light before you enter the club, that's going to be like a negative, because most of the people are not going to really be able to like approach you as much. So they're going to be like kind of like your tips are going to go down. So there's certain things can make it better, but I definitely feel like now that I am a dance, I still dance here and there. I do think it can be harder at times, because I do think about like how it's like I am physically exchanging all this energy with these people. And I don't know. I just don't know if it's like, I just feel like I'm almost like lying, because it's like I feel like I just know not like so much more, but just so much differently about different things. I want to like tell them like, don't pay me for a dance, like take this $20 and go to like a meditation class. You know what I mean? And it's like, how am I supposed to ask them for like a lot of money when I know that, you know?
Maybe it's meditation for them to give you money.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
What I'm interested in is, we're here talking to Chaney at one point because of you. When did it click as far as astrology being the way, and did someone suggest it to you? Did you just fall into? Well, how do we get here? How is
Well, my friend Summer, who you actually know, she's the one who makes the bikinis.
Mm-hmm.
She is the astrologer of the group, and she is fucking awesome, and she's hot and beautiful, and you'll have to have her on here someday too. But she is really into astrology, and she'd been trying to get me to go to this class for a while. And then I finally went to the class. It was in January at the astrology store, and I started just like learning about all of this stuff. And then stuff just became like, just really clicked for me, like why my life is the way it is. Because I feel like some people, they aren't as invested in other people as I am. And then when I looked at my chart, I was like, oh, well, all of my major planets are in houses of others. So that makes sense why my whole life is about other people, because that's the way I was like designed to be, was like just to care way more about other people, you know? And I once I kind of realized that like it wasn't like I was a problem. I was like made this way. It was just other things influenced all the problems.
I find that astrology is very validating. Just gives you more of a sense of significance, as in terms like I'm more than just a human being. I'm, aligned with this planet and this star a certain way, and it's really having an impact on more than just like Earth and my life here.
And that's what I wanted to get into too, as far as once you found astrology, it's not just some sort of mumbo jumbo sort of thing. It can be a valuable tool.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's kind of crazy because people don't realize that astrology is real. They just see it as, oh, the sun, whatever. But it's like, since you have the three major aspects of you, which is like your rising, which like determines like how others see you, but also determines like how your body is. And then if you have major planets in your first house, that's going to be even more telling of who you are as a person. And then your moon, which changes sign every 2.5 days. And then your sun. So when you have those three aspects, just looking at those, you're like, wow, that has like so much to do with like my personality. But then when you get to like the personal planets and the outer planets, and then when you add fixed stars and like all the asteroids and this and that, and then you figure out the degrees, you're like, holy shit, all of this is real. Because some people are like, oh, well, astrology is not real because I'm this sign and they say I'm supposed to be like this. But if you are, like you're a Leo, so that's a fire sign, that's a fixed fire sign. So that's like, each sign has an element and also has a modality. So, being a fixed sign, it's like you're more grounded, you don't like change. It's like, it's more consistent. But you're, with you being a Pisces moon, that's a mutable sign. It's a water sign too. So that's completely different. So it's like when you have stuff like that going on, where it's like you have, water and fire, mutable, fixed, and your one personality, that's why your sun sign is never going to make 100% sense to you, because your moon is so important. It all figures out.
In my opinion, the stars in astrology, the map is always right. The only thing that gets misinterpreted is the human's interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of quote a poker book to you guys, it's almost like there was this guy who wrote a poker book, and then another professional person who read it, and the guy who read the book went to the author and says, I didn't really learn anything from your book. I just understand now why I'm making the decisions that I've made throughout my career. And it sounds like in this situation, it's almost the exact same thing.
Yes.
And without trying to dumb down the astrology, is that, again, it being a tool, you are the person that you are. But once you start understanding the tools and how they work, you start to realize, okay, this is why I've been doing the things I've been doing. And I think that the next step from people that are outsiders and I think skepticals of it is that people, do believe that it's, that's just mumbo jumbo, things like that. But if you see a change in someone because of astrology, you have to validate it. And if they start using it, I think, as a tool.
Yes.
Yeah, but honestly, I find it. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just as long as you use it as a tool and not a crutch.
Right.
Which is, I think, what a lot of people. Oh, I fucking killed someone today. Oh, it's just because my moon's in Pisces. It was my month. Sort of attitude, as opposed to saying, well, I have an urge to kill today because my moon is in Pisces. Maybe I should not go outside. Sort of attitude.
Absolutely.
It's
people can identify with anything, and astrology can be an scapegoat for that.
Well, what I was going to say...
That's exactly
sorry.
No, I was just...
I'm so bad at this.
Oh, no. This is how they go.
No, what I was going to say is, I find it honestly so condescending when I start talking about astrology and then people are just like, well, I love that you're so passionate about it. It's like, okay, I know you're just like trying to get me to shut the fuck up. Yeah. Because that happens a lot.
And even... It's funny because when you talk to those people, and I believe in cycles.
Yeah.
And this is basically a lot of what this is based on is cyclical, and we have thousands and thousands of years of information that have allowed us to say, okay, well, people have these tendencies that are from this era, from this point in time, from this, and you can even break it down like, hey, people in the 60s did this, people in the 70s did this. Okay, well, how come people that were born during a certain time of the year also can't be attributed with certain traits?
Absolutely.
It's not so far-fetched mathematically to be able to.
The other thing is like people don't realize is like people say, oh, my generation this, my generation that. The outer planets are what are determining those generations. So that's why things are changing. So for example, I think like a really like easy one is every single person born from 1982 to 1995 has Scorpio Pluto in their chart. So it takes Pluto about 220 years to go around the whole solar system. So it stays in each sign for about like 20 something years. So because of this, it makes us so we're able to like transform and stuff and have all this like transcendence, but it also makes us really sensitive to our environments. It's no accident that our generation has all of these gluten allergies. And then like the older people are like, oh my God, you can't eat a fucking piece of bread. And it's just like, yeah, it's literally because of Scorpio Pluto. And that's why. But then, they're also, none of these people in general are going to believe in astrology because people only want to listen to what they want to listen to. But I think it would be crazy if every single person, like there was like a major news story or something, like astrology is real. And then everyone like went to like figure out their birth time and they were like, oh my God, like it is real because it is, but it's not like every single person's gonna actually get into it.
I don't believe in astrology more than I do a monkey wrench, but it's just a tool. It's just a tool to like a psychological tool, and heaven and hell are both psychological. So it's like people need a lot of work done there in that department. So I think that's all the work that needs to be done because any other work is just going to be superfluous. Really, when it comes down to it.
And you were touching on something at the beginning, though, that as far as Western astrology, it's kind of like, but people back in, let's just say India, or people in other Eastern cultures, they've been listening to this stuff for thousands, since the beginning of their civilizations, and they still believe it today, and it's it's some sort of, we do, like you were saying before, we need some of that, they need some of us. How? Because some of us barely eat Chinese food, you know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
And some of us don't like in curry or something like that. So I can see how it's, pardon the pun, hard to swallow an astrological teaching.
I think it's because like our society especially is so left side of the brain dominant. Like we're so masculine as a culture. So we don't believe in stuff that we can't see. And that has to do with like the way that like our education system has been. And then, every single thing in America basically. But one thing like specifically is like, on the other side of the world, they're learning about like all different types of spiritual things. So like one thing, they believe in is like auras and stuff. So people in the United States will say auras are not real, but then they'll say, get out of my bubble. What the fuck do you think your bubble is? Your bubble is your aura. That's how you know the size of your aura.
Right.
But people will say, oh, I don't know what an aura is. I don't believe in that. Oh, you see auras. It's not like that. It's like, what your aura is. And if you think about it, that makes sense. People say that, get out of my bubble. You can feel when someone's in your space. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's like, it's really sad that like, we haven't, been able to like learn this stuff, but now I think people are waking up.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people are waking up, and I think it's happening faster and faster. So it is like a sad thing, but it's also like happy because I really do feel like things are improving.
Absolutely. They're going to get a lot worse before that.
No, don't say that.
Well, there's going to be a lot of, I shouldn't say it's going to get worse. It's just there's going to be a lot of confusion in this transition between, automation of jobs and humans into artificial intelligence. It's going to be huge transformation.
No, I don't really think, I don't think things are going to get worse. I think they're going to get better, and I think they're going to get better quicker and quicker, because if you think about it,
I agree.
We've had all of these crazy full moons this year, and there's a reason why. So it's not just us like here on Earth that's like helping to things to get better. And I fully believe that things are going to get better, but it's only for people that are wanting good things and are actively seeking good things because of law of attraction. So I think time is like speeding up.
Well, let's define that though. Let's define what it is that you mean by how are things going to get better? But again, you
aliens.
Say, how are you going to get better? But only for specific people.
Not like specific people, but it's like, I mean, things are going to get better for everyone as a whole. But I think that like the people that are still like operating at that like low vibrational level, like the millionaires and billionaires that are like taking advantage of others so that they can be successful and, having all that like darkness or devil or whatever you want to call it inside of them. I think things are going to get progressively worse for these people. I mean, you see on the news, like all of these people are getting their karma, so to speak. The guy with Hollywood and all the celebrities going to jail. Mm-hmm. It's like, you can see it as like there's bad things happening and worse things are happening. And obviously with all of our immigration stuff and all those problems we have in the United States, like it's something that a lot of people have like a lot of anger and fear over, because it is something that's like really scary, and it's super sad that it's like no one wants to see children suffering, or no one wants to see anyone suffering. I really believe that there are more good people on the earth than bad, and I do feel like things are gonna get better no matter what.
I like to be dramatic, so I said that, but it's more like a quickening. There's the people that live bad shit are going to experience that quicker and faster and more consistently, and vice versa.
So more as a quickening and maybe a sort of cleansing. It'll be like hopefully quick. And at Emily brought up the interesting point too, that there's a lot of people taking advantage of people that are not as that don't have sort of they don't have a spiritual compass, to say the least, and sort of are lost and continue to go to work and hate it and are taken advantage by big corporations and things like that. I think those are the people that I worry about the most. And somehow if we can reach some of them and get them started on some sort of spiritual awakening that doesn't necessarily include an exclusionary form of religion, to where like, oh, if you're not in this religion, you're going to go to hell sort of attitude, does basically everything else, but more of an inclusionary sort of, I mean, how have you seen anything that works to get someone to at least just get one foot in the right direction to start kind of at least alleviating some of the, let's just call it spiritual stress, for lack of a better term.
And it's working for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by 2020, Forbes magazine said that 50% of Americans are going to be freelance workers. That doesn't mean they'll be supporting themselves off of their work, but that means they'll be working for themselves, 50%. So that is really the way out. It's going to empower people, and a lot of ways it's going to be like spiritual work. A lot of people are going to be driven towards, healing and whatnot. So yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, I read an article recently that said the average yoga instructor only makes like $11,000 a year, but then you see all of these like yoga schools popping up and how to be like yoga instructors. And I kind of see it like the same way as like what Chaney's saying, that, it's like, if you're willing to spend almost like twice as much on education for what you're going to make even in a year, it just shows that people are so passionate about like yoga. It's like they don't even care that maybe they're going to have to do Uber or Grubhub on the side. It's like they really are just so passionate about it. It's like they're putting that before like their work, which is like something that, we didn't really realize. Like people usually are just focusing on their career. But I think people, as they start waking up, are going to start realizing there's other things that are important besides money.
Totally.
And
it's what you do for
money. Exactly. So it's like, maybe I only make $11,000 a year being a yoga instructor, but it's like, I can supplement that money with like some other, side hustle, and it's totally worth it to them because maybe they're keeping their expenses super low, so it doesn't even matter. Maybe they don't even have to supplement, maybe they live like with a bunch of people because they want to be like in a community,
Totally.
So I think people are starting to become like more and more true to themselves.
So and that's something I wish I would have learned a while. Right now, I more or less define myself. I'm a photographer with a day job, which it means I don't fucking shoot weddings. I just don't like wedding photography, and that's not my thing. But my day job has allowed me to be able to express myself creatively through photography. Nice. And it makes the day job tolerable to where, I'm not, if I was a wedding photographer, I can make six and a half figures a year, $150,000 a year, no problem. I know I can. But I don't want to. I hate that. That's not first, I don't find it creative, but I would rather do what I'm doing now and live paycheck to paycheck and still be able to be creative. What I was going to ask Emily now is that, knowing what you know now, because even though I know going to college is important and things like that, would you have chosen a different college, let's just say even major, or would you have chosen a different path altogether, do you think, than going into institutionalized learning?
Okay, so actually it's like so funny because I just recently, yesterday, moved my bedroom with the office, completely switched everything around. I found my diploma and I was like, I'm actually going to frame this because when I was graduating from college, I thought it was such a little deal. I wasn't going to go to the graduation and I wasn't going to invite people. And Carly, my old roommate, was like, this is such a big deal that you're graduating from college. Like, you have to come. And, I had like all my stripper friends at the graduation, and there's a really cute picture. And oh my God, I felt famous because I have all these like babes, these blonde babes at 8 a.m. walking around the ASU campus. Like, I had so many flowers. I guarantee there wasn't a single person that had more flowers than me, because every single girl that came got me like 1 or 2 bouquets of flowers. I had like 3 leis. Like, they went all out. I love my girls. They're fucking awesome. And I had to actually request for extra tickets because besides like my 6 girlfriends who came, I also had, which is 8:30 a.m. You know how hard it is to get strippers up at 8. Well, they had to be up before 8:30. It was 8:30 was the day. It was the time of it.
Probably didn't even go to sleep.
Actually, 2 did not. I know that for a fact. And then we went and day drink with my mom. It was fun. But
nice.
So I had to request extra tickets. So I didn't really think like going to college was like a big deal, but I also feel like I got my associate's degree first, and then I didn't believe in like real college. So then I got my aesthetics license. Afterward, I was like, I do not want to be doing aesthetics. So what do I want to do? And then I thought I wanted to go to law school. And I mean, you can't be a lawyer without getting at least a bachelor's degree first. So that's why I have my degree in political science. So I don't really feel like I like went to the school for the same reason as someone else, because when I decided I wanted to become a lawyer, I wanted to be a public defender. So I would always joke that I would have to like, do something crazy. So it's like
still doing stuff for other people.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'll just marry some rich dude so then I can just like work for free. That's literally what I'd say. Or I'll just seduce my boss and then just get it so I don't have to work as much so I can still dance.
Well, I was, when we did that shoot and for your graduation, that cute little shoot, we did a shoot where she was essentially had her gown and underneath essentially had lingerie.
Yeah, my grandma wasn't happy.
I was telling people you were like the unicorn. I mean, how many times do we go to strip clubs? Well, how many times do I go to strip clubs? As you say, and you talk to the dancers like, "Oh yeah, I'm in pre-med," or "Oh yeah, I'm just saving money to go to college." And I'm like, really, how many people actually do go to college and finish?
Yeah.
And Emily's the only one I know of. Of course, maybe I know 2 other dancers personally, but
the caption on
like the real,
The caption on Instagram said, "When the stripper is actually going to college."
Yeah, sure. But my question was, as far as it being like a big accomplishment, bigger than you thought it was, would you have still gone through it? Are you with the same state of mind that you have right now, do you think?
No, because
I know it's a shit question.
I mean, I just don't really feel like. So this is like, now I'm deciding like what kind of other classes I want to take because I'm still like in transition in my life. And I mean, I always joke, like, I have an aesthetics license I don't use, and I have a bachelor's degree I don't use. And so it's like, it's cool that like I have it, I guess. But to me, I've never really seen it as like really that awesome. But I also went to ASU and I was married at the time. So it was not that expensive for me to go to college. And I don't have student loans because I also, was a dancer, and also I already had my associate's degree that I got from community college. So for me, I don't have regrets with going to college because I don't have the debt. But if I had the debt, yeah, I would regret it. But I don't know how much it cost me to go to college, but I actually am happy that I went to college because out of all of the money I've made dancing, I don't own anything. I don't even own my car. So at least the one thing I own is that fucking piece of paper that's paid off.
Yeah.
So at least I have one thing to show for it. I don't own a single thing. Some girls, they, buy houses or cars, or I don't even own any designer purses or shoes. I don't own any shoes that are valued at more than like probably $80, and those are the stripper shoes. I mean, I've spent money, a lot of money on my animals and stuff too. And I'm a very generous person. Like, I buy people stuff. I'm the person that's like, I make $1,000 at work. What you see me doing, this is when I used to smoke, but like buying a pack of cigarettes at the gas station. Oh, this homeless person needs like a blanket and, this and that. I'll drop $100 on a homeless person I just meet. That's like who I am though. Because I've always, before I was spiritual and stuff, I would always say, oh, well, I believe in karma. So I'm like, better, do this. If I see someone, they need gas in their car, I'm like, oh, I'll put gas in their car. I'm very just giving things away.
Yeah, so the transition to where you are now wasn't a huge leap. You are still using karma and using some sort of level of spirituality to get you.
I definitely have always thought like you could be an atheist and still be a good person. So I would always say that because people would be like shocked, like, you don't believe in anything. And I'm just like, well, it's not really like I consider myself to be a traditional atheist, which was like someone that I see, especially in America, is like people that are like really angry and they're kind of almost like trolls on the internet, like starting fights with like Christian people. And it's just like, for me, it was more of, I just don't think about it. And does it make sense to me rationally how there could be more out there? And I literally just thought you just died. Like, we just became dirt. But then now I didn't also realize a lot of the stuff with metaphysical type things, they actually use scientific tools to prove all of this. So that's the other thing that I think is a really big misconception in the United States, that like all of this metaphysical stuff is just based on every single thing as a feeling. It's not true. Like when you're doing the aura photo, you're putting your hand on a metal sensor that like tells the computer some sort of thing. And I'm not like the science person, so I can't explain how it works. But I mean, this is all calculated somehow. It's not, everything is not like 100% fake. Per se.
For the next podcast, read up on it so we can get some actual numbers on it and go, okay, they're figuring this out.
Yeah.
Chaney, do you have do you have a creative outlet? Are you into sculpting or painting or besides showing people the path?
I think life is pure creation, and I don't limit it to just some kind of thing I've learned to do, because I've learned many things, and we do learn many things while we're alive. So, and
we're supposed to, right?
We do, whether we like it or not. So we're going to go on learning things, and we're going to use it creatively, because life is creation. Life is alive.
What's next for you? What would you like to the next step in what book? Are you working on another book?
I have it in the works. I'm going to definitely do a lot of research on telepathy.
Nice.
Yeah, which involves quantum physics.
Yes.
Yes. And telepathy, just to clarify, is not reading people's thoughts. Like, you're not going to read people's language. It's a clear communication of feeling that transcends thought process and language, and is completely intuitive, completely instantaneous, and is much more efficient than language.
If there were a higher being, that's what they would use to communicate in order to dumb it down, because we wouldn't understand their language.
That's absolutely 100% right.
Like the aliens sort of thing. I mean, they're supposed to be more advanced, right?
It's telepathy. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Is telepathy also when you can think of something in your mind's eye and then it happens?
Yes.
So an easy one my friend taught me was, if your phone, the screen isn't loading, imagine the page, what it's going to look like that you're trying to open, and that's a way that you can see if it's working for you, because that's an easy one that anyone can do.
That is very...
It's a very basic one, super basic.
Do you have personal experiences where you've seen, maybe not just 100%, but at least evidence that that you might possess it yourself?
We all possess it.
Well, there's too many things that have happened in my life that are coincidences where,
exactly.
I'll give you examples, but one of them is a near-death experience. And it was, at one point, if I was ever a skeptic in that, I have to open the door for the possibility that it is absolutely untrue, because it happened to me. There was no way that I should be sitting here with you right now if it wasn't for a quote-unquote feeling that I got one day driving my car that told me I should slow down.
Right.
And because it broke my habits every other time. The light was green, my habit is to step on it and go. This particular day, and without trying to sound over dramatic or anything like that, there was a feeling that told me, don't do it this time. The guy in front of me ran the red light because he was texting his little girl.
Wow.
And if I would have done what I would have done, he would have T-boned me. And if I wouldn't have died, it would have been very catastrophic. The guy, he seriously just nicked my bumper, just nicked it. All he did was there's paint on it. But from that, he was going so fast that he not only turned, he hit one car, bounced off, and still spinning, hit the two parked cars.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm looking at that, I'm like, wow.
Right.
What other than sheer luck would have told me to hold on just this time? I mean, it's too big of a coincidence, and there's other things too that have happened before, and it happened actually to me and my brother. That are how did we see this? It's just too much of a coincidence to say, all right, that's bullshit.
It's higher self. Your higher self. People have an understanding of time that is incorrect, and quantum physics explains time, and that's where the mind and consciousness is at most of the time. At all times when you are living this kind of life.
You're sort of... Now, weird question. Do you think that somehow let's just say in quotes, the bad guys have construed this sort of, let's just call it plane or life, to be able to control time?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk about the bad people, because honestly, I feel like it's a trigger.
Yeah. Well, it has to be, in my point, for instance, right now we tell time we literally, and I hate using the word literally, we sign contracts, we tell time, the date is by a guy who died 2,000 years ago, 2019 years ago for the most part. And we are in the 21st century where, one, we were promised flying cars, and two, why can't we use star dates to tell the time, the proper time and position of the Earth? Mm-hmm. Emily, you told me that, through your findings, the Earth isn't where it's supposed to be.
It isn't. That's what they say. But like I said, I'm not the science person. I'm just like reading articles here and there.
But that's be more important to know than living in the year of our Lord 2019.
As far as time goes too, if you have the belief that I do, which is everything is just basically energy, the word time is the number one most used word that's a noun in the English language, and it's also the 55th overall used word. So because we're talking about it all the time and everyone's putting their energy on time, and I just said time like 5 times, and see,
we're fascinated.
That's what it is. So it's like, because like that's where our energy goes, because it's not just our conscious, it's our subconscious and all of that too, unconscious as well. And that alone is where we're all putting our energy on. So that's why it's happening. That's right. But that's why I think time is speeding up, because I think that things are getting more exaggerated. And since people are still so focused on time, and I know for me, like when I feel my anger surface, it usually has to do with time. Feeling like I don't have enough, feeling rushed, feeling like I'm late for something. I feel like that's a really big like emotional trigger for a lot of people. And I've like, one thing that's also like I've noticed is if you have like a couple friend that are like always late, they're always late or they never show up, it's because they're fighting. Every single couple that is late to things. You can tell it's because they were fighting in the car or they were fighting at their house, and they probably were fighting about, you need to get ready. Don't fucking rush me. They're probably having an argument about time.
So true.
But that's like what's happening. It's like time is, And
then they throw the kink in there. Time is money.
It's like invented, but it's like, it's our biggest focus in life.
So in order for like someone, let's say someone like me, to start being able to use tools to be able to like open myself up more creatively, there's the cliches. Oh, you need to meditate more. You need to do yoga more. You need to do. Is there anything else besides those things that you would seem that's more practical to somebody that's more on the skeptical side than they are on the believer side?
Oh yeah, I got something for you.
Okay.
There's so many things that people do to get in the zone, and the zone is like literally, it's factual that it's a brainwave, it's a gamma ray, it's extremely high frequency, and to get there you have to be incredibly excited and follow your excitement.
Oh shit, my bad.
What?
Oh no.
Hey.
Where are you at?
Right here.
Uh-oh.
What happened? Did none of it record this whole time?
No, it recorded, but very, check what? I'm hoping it's just this thing. No, it should be alright. Everything's fine. We just got a little bit of energy coming in here.
And Bones is stretching.
Well, that might be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm gonna keep the faith that it's just this fucking up, but the recorder should be fine anyway.
Follow your excitement. That's the most practical thing, and it's the most applicable, and it doesn't require any conditions. Like, you are excited about one thing one moment, and another it's a completely different thing. So it's spontaneous, it's fun, it's constantly making you be aware, and it requires a great deal of direction.
And if we are, are you saying like to be excited about any particular like activity, or just overall just be excited about changing and accepting?
Do whatever it is that makes you excited,
Okay.
because you want to be at the highest frequency possible.
Okay.
That's the whole trick. It's so simple, but people judge what makes them excited. And that's the problem. That's what slows your energy down, is judgment. So if I'm really excited to go get a gallon of Neapolitan ice cream, then I'm going to go get that fucking gallon and I'm going to eat some, and I won't be excited to eat it anymore. And that's when I know I'll put the fucking spoon down. So it's completely, your direction is completely subjective. It's not objective. And I'm getting too wordy here, but...
no, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I've actually had a conversation with another model that I just shot recently, and she is really, well, she's very sexual, very open sexually, and that makes her excited. She's into the BDSM stuff.
That's amazing.
And the problem is that she has a big corporate job during the day, to where she is dominant. She demands respect to what she does, and she fears that if anyone found out that she was very sexual and open to it, that they would think she's a slut.
That's the whole problem with our society right there.
Yeah.
And sex.
I mean, obviously,
it's all repression.
I'm a stripper, so I'm a sex worker, so I feel like this is like kind of my forte. There's so many people that hate me because I'm a stripper, but sometimes I kind of wish that they would hate me more, because I feel like when people hate you a lot, at least as like being a stripper, they're willing to give you more money. And less people are willing to do the job, so you end up making more. But anyway, can I answer following back to what you said to Chaney? I think everything Chaney said is like awesome. Of course, like following like your excitement, that is like so important, and that makes the most sense.
That's actually very enlightening.
Yeah, he's so cool. I love Chaney.
I did not. I wouldn't have worded it that way, and with those, you framed it in a position.
I know,
where,
he's
like,
so awesome.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm obsessed. I know. I'm like, that's just like the person I am. I'm like the, you know, I'm always like telling you how much I like people. But that's what I do. I have to like tell people how much I like them. On a more practical like way of answering that question though too is if you're taking classes are like a good way to start learning about all this type of stuff as well, which they offer classes at all of the metaphysical stores. So even if you're in like a small town, you go to like a major city that's near you, and you'll have like a store that offers like these types of classes, or like the crystal classes. But also there's so many resources and references on YouTube, different podcasts as well, I'm sure.
Yours is coming soon.
Yeah, there's so much out there. And there's the Gaia network, which people have like back and forth discrepancy with. It's like a controversial thing, but it's like Netflix, and they have all of this type of stuff on here. So I mean, I think there's like so much to like learn. Like if you learn this stuff and then you start seeing if it like works with you, because you remember when like law of attraction was really big and people were like, oh yeah, law of attraction. I mean, a lot of this is law of attraction. So it's like, you know, the way to test law of attraction, they said in the book, was The Secret or whatever. That was the book. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
So it was, you know, visualize a parking spot when you're going to the grocery store. I mean, you just start small and then you see when things are working for you. I think like one of the problems with all of this is we are programmed to think that if we hear voices, we're crazy. So that's where the fear of judgment comes in. Because if you go around telling people you're hearing voices, they're going to be like, okay, lock that girl up. Yeah. That's what I feel like is the biggest problem with like the gap in all of this, because I think a lot of us don't realize that hearing voices like from other like entities is like honestly normal. And you know, the other side of the world, they know this, you know, like they honor their ancestors. They are respectful to all of these people. Why is that? Because they want to be able to know all this information and stuff. But it's like in America, we don't know this. We think that if you hear a voice, oh, you're like Looney Tunes. Yeah, but it's actually normal.
I have a theory on that, but
well, we know why.
Well, my theory is that because the only voice you should be hearing in a Christian-dominated nation is God's voice. But if you hear a bunch of other voices, it's like you're satanic, it's the devil talking to you, and you're crazy, and you got to be put away, and there's things that got to happen to you that take you away from being better connected.
Well, my grandma, she was like a medium, and she never talked about it until she lived to be 89, and she didn't talk about it very much at all until like she was basically dying. And she was like a woman of God, and she was very involved in the church, and she always took care of everyone, and she would go to church every Sunday, and she was Methodist, so it wasn't like a, you know, very like structured type of Christianity. But I mean, I definitely know that she considered her ability to be able to hear spirits and see these types of things as a demonic type thing. And I think that, you know, even especially back then, that is what they were told,
Totally.
you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, who knows, like, because I wasn't able to talk to her about any of this before she passed away, like, who knows, like, exactly, you know, if she was hearing good things that were good or bad. But I mean, who knows if she was able, if she had grown up in a society where it's like you're able to embrace these things, I mean, who knows how her life would have been different,
And
you know?
just to really talk more about the law of attraction and this whole spirituality burst, it is amazing and it was very necessary. And now people are learning to balance it because law of attraction is not the only way. It's not complete. So there's more, and there's the law of repulsion. And this is duality. This is the life. Life is duality. So I come from the point of law of attraction and non-dualism kind of combined. And the whole idea that something is evil, like you were talking about, like people don't want to be ridiculed and judged for what they are. They want to feel bad in the society because whatever is bad is unknown.
Yeah.
It's unknown to the mind. So that's what is bad. There's no other judgment. There's no other equation. There's no other criteria for something being bad other than it's unknown.
And cliche, we fear what we don't know.
Right.
Do you find that even in a genre, a community that is built to help people and heal them, that there's even some sort of, if not combative, at least disagreements and maybe overzealots as far as this is the way that you should be doing this?
God, yeah.
And that as opposed to accepting.
Totally. And that's out of fear. Someone's doing it out of fear. No matter how spiritual they are, no matter how religious they are, they're doing it out of fear. Out of something they don't know. They don't know the certainty of how they're going to pay their rent. So they're wanting to press this and push it in your face so that you can come back to their church and come back to their belief system.
Yeah, it's
no matter if it's religion or spirituality.
Even in the best intentions, there's still a zealot involved somehow.
Yes, yes.
I just think people just don't know too. Like I think people just don't even know that like all this stuff is like options.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think so many people feel so lost, and they just don't even know that there's anything else out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like, I mean, it's like people have their like awakening and they figure things out like when it's time for them. But I just think people just are completely like unaware, you know?
Yeah.
They just don't know.
How do you get to the point where, let's just say, to overgeneralize, that the path you've taken in spirituality or astrology isn't working for you and you might need to maybe try something else?
I think Emily and I are both on that path. Like astrology, it's going by the wayside for me. And, you know, I've done people's charts, like, for money and professionally and whatever you want to call it. And now it's not suiting my needs. So that's what, you know, all belief systems are just to build on top of each other, and it can get really messy. So it's really just about dropping what you know and learning, and it makes you feel stupid. It makes you feel. That's why people travel. Because they feel like a kid, like they're stupid. They're like, they don't know anything around them, and it's so exciting, but they have certainties when they travel. But, you know, that's the whole thing, is like to feel like that bliss and that innocence again.
For me, I don't really feel like I ever got to learn like a ton about astrology. People think that I know a lot more than I do, but really it's like if you just tell someone like 3 or 4 things about themselves, they're like, "Oh my God, that makes so much sense. You know so much. You're an expert." And I'm just like, "No, I told you 3 or 4 things. That's like the only 3 or 4 things I know." But no, I really could know more. But I just saw astrology as like a kind of like, this is a tool. So I was able to see, having the Scorpio Pluto in the 6th house, it means that you have a job that has to do with sex or death. My traditional work house is the 10th house, which is, is everyone's, the 10th house is your job. Mine's an Aquarius, which, it means like, you care about humanity, but also means like you want to work with your friends. So for me, because I see everyone as a friend and I have this very like fixed sign in this like house, like doesn't like change, it's like I felt like stuck at my job and I didn't really know what other job I wanted because my 10th house, I don't have planets in there. So it's like I've always known like I wanted to have a job that has to do with like helping humanity and I want to work with my friends. So that's like what I knew, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So now like looking at the other things in my chart, I can kind of put together what I'm supposed to be doing with my career and like why things have happened and just be like true to myself. And I don't feel like I would have had that big like wake up call if I didn't like see it on this like physical piece of paper. Like, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just like, you have a job that literally was basically predetermined before you were born. I mean, the energy could have came out in a different aspect. So like having the Scorpio Pluto in the 6th house, also since it's like your health, it's like when it's acting out negatively, it's prone to depression. I've had depression my entire life. Also, the Scorpio, it's like the obsession. It rules your small animals. I'm obsessed with my cats and my dog. And all, 2 of the cats are from exes, and I've never wanted to split them up because I'm like obsessed with them. Like, I don't want to leave them. And, I just feel like I didn't know that there were other options. But my North Node, which is like the karma, the direction you're headed, it's in the 9th house. The 9th house rules philosophy and law. And I almost went to law school. So that's where I had that idea. But do I have to be a lawyer? No, because I see that there's other things that I can be good at. But it kind of made me like realize there was nothing wrong with me. I just didn't want to change this one thing because I didn't know there was something else better. And I think that it's like what Chaney said, it's like following the excitement. So for me, it was like I was all excited about astrology at first because I figured out what I wanted to do, but now my excitement is elsewhere. Like now I've realized like my true calling is Reiki. So even though I'm not doing it for money yet, I do volunteer Reiki at the Veterans State Hospital, which is not the VA. And if you call it the VA, they will school you. So that's why I'm telling you it's the Veterans State Hospital. But yeah, some of the people
Nobody
here...
wants to be known as a VA.
Yeah, I know. They're like, do not call us the VA. But it's actually like, it's state-run hospital for veterans. So there's a lot of people there that have had a lot of suffering. And, it's a really like... It's a really good experience to be able to like get back to the community and also, build up like my Reiki powers per se in a way that's like productive. But yeah, I learned that from astrology that I should be doing Reiki, and then also tied that in with there were a bunch of synchronicities in my life at the same time.
You could also say that what you're excited about is like what the universe is attracting to you, like because it wants you are the universe is you, and it wants to be good.
Yeah,
that's just natural.
I think the biggest scam with like our religious system and our religious beliefs in America especially is that God is like somehow like out there. It's like one person that's like all knowing. It's like it's not that like God is out there. God is broken up into each and every one of us, and every single thing on this planet, we're all sharing like a consciousness. So in any major city, you're going to have like the millionaires and billionaires that are like operating at like a different vibrational level, and they're also like scamming off of other people. And then there's homeless people that are just like hating their lives and hating themselves and just like, operating at this very, very low level. But then there's like the average everyday people that are, living their true lives, or maybe they're kind of happy sometimes, kind of happy sometimes. We're all operating at different levels, and we're all exchanging energy at any given time. So you're always feeling this. So even if you don't feel it consciously, we're all connected.
And back to what Chaney was saying, how do we get those people maybe we can't do too much with the people at the extremes. But I was talking to somebody the other day about how the people that operate in the middle, right now, their habits are go to work or sit in traffic, go to work, sit in traffic, come home, plop down in front of the TV, and they have yet to find something that they're excited about.
Right.
And I was trying to tell them, if you're just fucking excited about your dog,
Right.
go out and walk your dog instead of sitting the TV.
Yeah.
If you're just excited about something, and I was saying, even if you're excited about sitting down and watching Game of Thrones,
Oh yeah, I get excited about that.
write something.
I'm
yeah,
I'm the weird person. I haven't seen a single episode.
Yeah, and you get to the point where like, okay, if that's your thing, get excited about it and do more than just watch it. Write something, do a story. You don't have to get rich and famous about it, but
Seriously.
is there maybe something else that we can help these people get excited about besides just telling them, hey, fucking, if you love, and my whole thing is, if you love to fuck, go fuck, man.
Exactly.
You know, if you love to
Yes.
fucking play Pokemon, go play Pokemon.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with, hey, I love watching anime sometimes. I'm ashamed to say it. Yes, I am.
No.
But I do it. And then, but funny thing is, when you get to that point, it builds these stories that spill on over to the stuff that I'm really good at. So,
Exactly.
in that aspect, I'm trying to reach out, and this is one of the things I'm trying to do, is reach out to people. You need to get excited about something, anything, and again, without trying to be a serial killer, do it, you know.
Yeah.
And what do you think is, just besides shame, is the block that keeps us from being excited about being our true selves to a certain extent?
You know, I think I think that it's really important for people to just do whatever they are excited about without judgment, and it's not more complicated than that. But
People just make it more complicated
Exactly.
for really. You can just talk. I mean,
No, but I keep interrupting.
well,
I'm
you
just gonna
got to put
say,
the mic in your face, though. You can move it. Yeah, you don't.
Well, with what you were saying too, I think that it kind of starts with like we all just have to love ourselves first. And so I know it's cheesy as it is, but if you love yourself first and then you just love like a few people around you, it's like you're spreading that positive energy. So maybe they're not like feeling excited about something, but if you're feeling excited, that's going to spread to the people around you. So that's how we kind of just start doing
Oh
this.
yeah. That's,
But then also it's like, you said like walking your dog. If a person was like to go walk their dog and then also kind of like start believing in the universe, ask for signs because the universe is willing to play with you. So like angels or entities, whatever you want to call them, it's like they're trying to communicate with us, but it's not in like a language, like a word, like per se. So everyone gets the 1111 like master number they see all the time. But every single number means something. So if you're
like how come fucking 1257 doesn't mean anything? You know,
No, it does mean
yeah,
something.
And it does.
Yeah, every single thing, every number means something. So if you're seeing the same number over and over again, like if you're just open to that concept, you can Google like that number and then put the angel number word after that. And that's like one way to start seeing like what's happening like in your life. Or like, if you are ever somewhere and you hear a song and that song like it feels like more to you, it's like, oh wow, that song is unexpected. Like that's your angels trying to communicate with you. And every single person I've told about that has had that experience. So it's like when you start knowing that there's like signs and knowing how and when to look for them, that's how we kind of start doing this too. Because a lot of people, they're scared of the unknown, but really like the unknown is just like this beautiful thing where it's like you're honoring your ancestors and just going with like your true self and just trying to like be like your most pure like person who you are, and you usually do become successful from these ways.
Do you have specific examples of where you've asked the universe for something and it gave it to you?
I mean, kind of Michael, but there's been some situations with that. But I felt like, I was meditating on like I want to meet someone, and then I met him like 3 days later. And I had actually written down like a description of what I wanted like him to look like and like his like personality. And I mean, I only wrote like 5 things because then I think I smoked like a joint and like fallen asleep. But I mean, he had those 5 things, and I feel like it's like not saying every single person can manifest a relationship, but I just feel like you can You know,
Maybe.
if you are praying for something, but you're not praying for it as like, you know, because you don't want to attract what you don't have. So it's like, it's also like wording it. Like, you don't want to say like, you know, I don't have a job. I don't have a job. You just want to like, instead just feel like I live in an abundant universe. A job that's more true to me is going to manifest itself. If you do stuff like that and meditate on it, like it could potentially.
What about you, Chaney? Have you asked something of the universe and it somehow answered?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's not even only conscious that I ask. It's unconscious. It's a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
right? I want to feel a certain way, and if I'm aware enough, that feeling will be honored and respected, and it will be made aware of itself that I'm feeling that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it does to me.
yeah. So, about the excitement also, like if you have the energy to do something, then that is the universal language of frequency telling you that you are qualified to do that. If you don't have
Mhm.
energy to do something, you are unqualified to do it. It's just so simple. It's like not laws, I should say habits, because I don't believe in laws.
Uh-huh.
I believe in habits.
Okay.
And the universe has habitualized itself to work in that way where like attracts like. And
To oversimplify, go with the flow, sort of, until until something else comes along, something like that, yeah.
It's just magical.
Again, one of the big coincidences as far as me asking the universe for something is, and I don't regret it, but when I did start becoming a photographer, I only asked for a few things. I asked to photograph women, I asked to photograph rock and roll musicians, and I asked to go on tour with a band for however long the tour is, and I asked to be published somehow. Now, all those things came to life. I never asked to be rich, which I regret. I never asked to be famous, which I regret, and I never asked to be the best. I never did. I just asked for those things.
Right.
And it was and again, to me, it's like too much of a coincidence for those things to all of a sudden start falling into place once you realize, and it could be as simple as, okay, I got goals, but everything for me fell into place in such a very intricate way that it was impossible for me to not tell somebody, hey, just ask the universe for something, as long as it's good and creative.
And notice what you regret are things that are very human.
Mm-hmm.
The things that are very situational and societal, like being famous, that will put you in a good place as a human being. But the universe doesn't see the universe in your higher self, which is essentially your future self. It doesn't see your lifetime as being that important, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many lifetimes within the linear span of the universe and time that the universe sees your lifetime as like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not that big a deal, and like there is a year where you become famous and rich, maybe different lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not relevant for you in this lifetime because there's certain things that you're experiencing as a portion of the one infinite creator, as me, as Chaney, as Emily, as Danny, right? You're just one portion.
Yeah, and it's funny how that works, isn't it?
It is funny.
The universe tells you what's more important than, maybe this time it's the Kardashians year.
Exactly.
Right? And it's like, you look at that as a outsider and you wonder why are some people, and even in your own genre too, like how come there's some healers that they're not doing anything more special than what you are, or anything, but somehow their name carries, and it's just like, Deepak,
Yeah.
he's on the face of everything.
Absolutely. And I would just say that it is within his capacity and his frequency to do what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And he follows that frequency very diligently and very consistently. I shouldn't say consistently, because he's very authentic, and authenticity has nothing to do with consistency and everything to do with innocence.
Mm-hmm.
He is innocently authentic, and that's what it's all about.
So something I was thinking about when you guys were talking about that was, obviously, Danny, we met because like I did modeling for you, and you've said a bunch of times like, why are you not like famous on Instagram? Because I only have like 2,000 followers, which is
Only
for how well I photograph. I should. I mean, I could. I mean,
should, could, whatever.
Whatever. I don't put time into my social media. However, I've never had a big Oh, sorry. I've never had. Oh, I thought you were shushing me like I was talking too loud. So I've never had like a big following on social media, and for how I photograph, like it is kind of strange because I photograph. I mean, I'm not going to be. It's kind of bragging, but you can look at my. You can look at my Instagram. I don't use it anymore, but I still have it active. But I photograph pretty well, and I've done a lot of photo shoots, and I've always been the type of person where it's like everywhere I go, people say, oh, you should apply to be on reality TV. You should have a reality TV show, blah, blah. Like, your life is so entertaining. Like, people want to hang out with me. And it's like, I'm fun. But I feel like it was not like what the universe wants for me is to get like a big social media following, at least on the aspect of being attractive. Like, I feel like for me, my higher purpose has always been bigger than me. And it's not how I look. It's like I incarnated in this body because people do listen to attractive women, but it's what I'm saying. It's not who I am. And people always separate that too with me. They say like, you're so beautiful and also you're smart and you're also insightful. They're never putting it together because it's all different, like different aspects and different parts of me. And so it's like, it wasn't like what was supposed to happen. It's just, oh yeah, there's like a hot girl on the internet. That's not how I'm ever gonna get followers. It's gonna be for what I'm saying.
Totally. And
that's what people like see when they hear from me. They say like, you're so different than the, average hot girl, which I think every single person is special and important on this earth. But when you look at like back at like, all the photo shoots I've done and you're like, wow, this is kind of shocking. Like a lot of my pictures, I don't even get like 100 likes on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's like some pretty like good photos out there of me.
Yeah.
There's lots of naked ones of me. I guess they're not on there anymore. You said, what's it called? The website?
The
Tumblr's not doing nude anymore.
Yeah. They're not, they don't do that anymore. Which I think is a good thing, but we'll get into that. But
I'm actually okay with that too.
Yeah, I didn't think about that as well too. Like you, yeah, exactly. You should have more. How many models have I shot that have more followers than you, and that are, and without trying to shit on people, not as talented as you?
I mean,
because modeling is a thing. Modeling is being a good model is being talented and doing things. And when you get up to the higher level of modeling, it's the reasons you keep seeing the same models doing fashion and things like that, because they're really good at it. And, it's a thing. As superficial as it is,
it's not superficial. Talented. Nothing is superficial.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yes.
So everything has...
valid. Everything's valid.
Everything's grounded and valid.
Everything is valid, perfectly valid, and... when we begin to think that it's invalid, we drive ourselves literally insane. We go mad. When we invalidate ourselves, when we invalidate other people, when we invalidate our children, invalidate other beings, animals, that's when we literally become insane.
That is a great statement and reframe as far as if everything's valid, that means that I can't look down on somebody for wearing designer stuff or being who they want to be, because I can't look down at Kardashians as much shit as I talk about them today, right?
Seriously.
I have to accept that that lifestyle is valid.
Yes.
Or I will go mad.
That's absolutely correct. You will you're getting mad
Mm-hmm.
at, that's what madness is. You're literally angry.
Mm-hmm.
That's why anger is the most powerful thing.
Yeah, it's
Is the most powerful
raw.
thing.
It's easy to attain anger than it is to.
Some more than others.
Yeah, exactly. Kardashians,
Yeah.
fuck you, Kanye.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's see, now that is even on a, I don't, even on a, for lack of a better term, even in a make believe sense, to allow myself to say, hey, everything is valid.
Mm.
It still has to repurpose my mind to think so and to change my way of thinking. Again, using something as what I considered, or what I was using the term superficial,
Mm-hmm.
like Kardashians, to be able to say everything's valid and has a, I guess, because it has a potential to make me feel a certain way either way.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why feelings are valid.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings are, they're not here and now. Like, you can't visually taste, touch, see them, but they are valid because they are part of your experience.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's also a great point, because we all feel something at the same time, but to be able to say your feelings aren't valid is a hell of a thing to say to somebody, isn't it?
It's absolutely absurd.
No matter how absurd one might think that those feelings are, it's really just it's something. It's inhumane to a certain level, you know, to shit on somebody like that.
On a completely unrelated but related thing with the Kardashians, I've actually never seen a full episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I know obviously about it because
I'm with you.
It's
that.
like they say, what's it, Kimmy Schmidt? Have you guys seen that Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix? Have you seen it? It's like really funny. There's like this one part. It's like, how do I know all this stuff about the Kardashians? And it's like, oh, it's because it's on the news and this and blah blah. It's like you end up just hearing a lot about them, even if you actually have never like seen any of the show. I'm pretty sure Kim is a Libra, and she is going to law school now. And she's doing it for the bleeding heart because she doesn't fucking need the money.
Well, what you were saying before, in California, see, again, this is the superficialness of it. You don't have to go to law school. You just have to be in some sort of law. So she's going to be a law clerk, and you just have to be around the law for a certain amount of time. And then once you do that, if you pass the bar exam, you're a lawyer.
Oh, that's
so
cool. I should just move to California then, because I don't want to fucking pay to go to law school, but I want to like get people out of jail. Like, I've always wanted, I said I wanted to be like a public defender or like work for like the Innocence Project, but I don't want to move to California. I don't like it there.
As long as you pass the bar exam,
can you do like live there part of the time? Or do you have to be like a full-time like resident? Do you know about this? Okay.
As far as passing the bar in California, I don't know.
So all I have to do is just like date a lawyer in California.
Yeah.
And just get him to
be his or her, I don't know, you can date a girl clerk or a girl lawyer, and as long as you're his or her clerk, you'll be all right, or something like that. Whatever it is that she's just going to work at a law office.
Is she a Libra? Is Kim a Libra? I'm pretty sure she is, and Libras are all about like justice. So a lot of people that work in the government are Libras. So when I was getting my I'm changing my last name back to my maiden, even though I've been divorced for so long. I finally decided like a couple months ago that I want to go back to my maiden name. And I definitely made a believer out of the guy at the Social Security office, because you could just tell he was a Libra. He was just all about balance. He was like so nice. And I was like, oh, you're a Libra, aren't you? And he's like, how did you know? And I was like, well, it's just like your personality with this, this, and this. And also a lot of people that work for government, even the Social Security office, are going to be Libras. And he was like definitely shocked. And he became a believer in astrology like right then and there.
That's fascinating. Look at that. You just blew the lid off his roof.
And I do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, guys, I can sit here and talk forever. Do you guys need your own podcast? Chaney, you definitely need your own podcast.
Thanks, man.
I know, isn't Chaney awesome?
But yeah, this was a great talk. I definitely.
Chaney, you're awesome too.
Oh, I
We're
know.
all just amazing.
Thanks.
Okay,
it was
someone tell me
definitely-
I'm awesome now.
You're
Emily, you're
twice as
so
awesome.
gorgeous and amazing. I love you, Emily.
the definitely a lot of key words and a lot of key phrases resonated with me today as far as being able to, one, accept that everything is valid. I think that's the most powerful thing I came up coming out of this today. And two, to be excited. And again, from that poker guy book, from the being the excited point, it's like I knew that was it, but now I know why that's important to have, especially as someone who fancy myself a creative person or an artist to be, that these things they're obstacles that need to be cleared on going on forward as just a fucking person, I have to accept Kanye and the Kardashians as people now because or else I will fucking go crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, so. All right, well, thanks, guys. I will see. We talked for fucking ever. I love it.
Can you link my Instagram so you can? Maybe I'll get up to like 2,000 and like 100 followers.
Put your Instagram out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not using it anymore. I'm gonna start a new one.
Say it. What's your?
Oh, it's Emmy's Block. EMMYS Block. Because at work I'm Jenny from the block, like J-Lo. So Emmy's Block. Now you know why it is.
It is what it is. And I'll say my Instagram.
Yeah.
It's CHANEY letter B Jones.
Chaney B. Jones, like Judy B. Jones.
Yeah.
So who is here first?
Me.
Oh, Danny, can you end it with the quote by J.P. Morgan Chase?
You put me on.
Do you remember it?
Oh yes, I do remember it.
What is it?
That the millionaires don't believe in astrology, but billionaires do.
Oh.
Yep.
I like that.
J.P. Morgan Chase was the one who said it, and he's rich as fuck.
Yes.
It was
Right.
great one, and I'll put all the notes, all the links and the notes.
And Chaney's
Any
book.
links and the book. Well, it's the nature of thoughts.
Yes. On Amazon and on my website, also ChaneyBJones.com.
Yeah, and I'll put that all on the show notes too, so there's direct links to go to everybody's magic places on the interwebs.
Thanks, Danny.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
This was awesome.
Danny.